I'd like to start this video off by sending the best of wishes to both Tyree Cleveland and Moro Ojomo, who both stayed down on the field for a scary amount of time after suffering neck injuries. They were carted off. Last official updates were that Tyree Cleveland was able to move his extremities. Ojomo, who gave a thumbs up as he left on the cart, also able to move extremities. So that seems like there are some positive signs that the worst case scenarios have been avoided in both those injuries, but there's still room to grow. Obviously, you want them to make as full of a recovery as fast as possible, so best of luck to them. Other Eagles players were also injured as well. Zach McPherson also suffering an injury that required the cart, although those injuries weren't quite as scary, but still unfortunate to happen. You don't want to see those, especially in a preseason game. So for the game itself, the game ends in an 18-18 tie. I'm going to get the negative vibes out first, kind of a bad news first kind of thing. It was a Cade York season return until it wasn't. He was having a pretty good game, going 3 for 3 on field goals. He made his extra point attempt, and then it came time to potentially put the Browns up 3 late in the game. His first attempt of 47 yards went wide right, like we've seen so many times, but a Philadelphia Eagles penalty gave him another shot until he missed the next one from 41 yards out, wide left. I know I've been later to doing this than most, but I am officially hitting the panic button on Cade York. Look, I know he only missed the one kick in this game. Actually, he missed 2 kicks, one only counts as 1, but it was the most important one. That's the one that you really need him to make. So I don't necessarily think it's an issue that he doesn't care or he's not trying hard enough. If anything, I think he cares and is trying a bit too much. Something Bubba Ventrone said when he was hired as a special teams coordinator talking about Cade York was that maybe he's a little too in touch with his mechanics. So maybe he's like thinking about processes that should just be automatic to him. Like think about how you breathe and how you blink, and when you start thinking about, okay, I have to inhale and exhale, I have to close my eyes, open my eyes, those processes can start to get a little awkward if you think about them too much. Instead, they should just be automatic. You don't even think about doing them. Maybe that's something that's going on with Cade York right now, but either way, it's already costed the Browns a positive result. I know it's just preseason, but if you extrapolate that into the regular season, this is going to have negative consequences on the regular season moving forward. There was also John Kelly fumbling the ball for the second consecutive week. This week it was on the 1-yard line when the Browns were about to score. Can't really do that and expect to make the 53-man roster. I've been rooting for him, and I still am, but at this point I do think it's unlikely that he will reach the promised land of the final 53 this year. Maybe he gets called up again with Jerome Ford and his injury status being up in the air for week 1. Maybe he gets called up from the practice squad, but making that final 53-man roster definitely seems like a bit of too far of a reach for him right now, given his play as of late. So that's all the stuff that I have for the negative things. Let's go to the good. The first points of the game was another Brown safety, courtesy of Diabate, who was all over the place in this game. That linebacker position is ripe for an undrafted guy like Diabate to come up and snatch a roster spot, and that game is definitely going to help him. Again, it wasn't just the safety play. He was making good, solid open field tackles throughout the entire game. He was flying around the ball. It was a great game for Diabate. Ronnie Hickman Jr. had another interception. That was his 3rd in 2 games on a diving effort. It was a nice catch, although it was just a completely awful throw by Marcus Mariota, who was pretty terrible for the Eagles in that preseason game last night. I thought the defensive line played pretty well in general. They were applying good pressure. They got plenty of sacks. And then moving on to the offensive side of the ball, Austin Watkins Jr., he is a roster player. I don't care if Marquise Goodwin is healthy or not to start the year. Austin Watkins Jr. has definitely earned himself a spot on the roster. And not just in the preseason games. I've seen, social media posts and clips of him going off in practices as well. DTR had another good showing, although I would say this was his least good game. You saw a little bit more of maybe some downfield throwing issues. The deep ball isn't quite where you'd want it to be for a consistent starter in the league, but there are still plenty to be excited about. Still a really good showing for a guy who's a rookie 5th-round pick, probably not with too much expectation. Started out at QB4, and I feel like with him starting in this game and still continuing to show flashes of pretty good play, I feel like he's firmly in the driver's seat for, at the very least, that 3rd quarterback slot that's going to be opening up for NFL rosters this year. I've seen plenty of Browns fans clamoring for him to be the backup, and I haven't seen too much of Joshua Dobbs outside of that time he got in the second preseason game, but yeah, so far DTR has definitely been very impressive this offseason, and in camp and in preseason games, he's been great. Cedric Tillman also showed flashes of what he could be. I'm excited to see what he can do once the regular season games start and he's out there with the starters. I'm getting more and more okay with Demetric Felton and his role in the offense. I've been kind of wishy-washy and down on him because I've seen him as kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, but you do kind of need those guys in your depth. The more I see him show flashes in the preseason with him making pretty good moves in open space and some of his elusiveness and some of that top end speed, I am getting more and more fine with his spot on the roster. I think this was the most challenge we've seen DeJuan Jones so far. I don't think he was necessarily terrible, but there were some plays where he's getting maybe a little bit beat, where he has to kind of hope to push the guy off to the side and hope he doesn't get behind him and rush the quarterback. But again, DeJuan Jones is nowhere close to a finished product. He's been really good so far, but there is still room for him to grow. He is still a rookie. He's still getting coached up by Bill Callahan. I'm not really concerned about it. And, you know, I'm not really talking about the sequences of the game because honestly, I don't really feel like going through the motions of a backup field preseason game. I'm just kind of going off of who I thought did the most with their reps. I'm probably missing a few players. You can let me know down in the comments who impressed you the most, or maybe if I expressed concerns that were a bit hyperbolic, like if you're still on the Cade York train, even though I feel like that's leaving the station more and more. I don't think many people are having too much faith that Cade York will put it all together once the regular season starts. But if you do, you can let me know down in the comments below. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you didn't make it this far into it, you can leave a like and a subscribe if you liked the video and you'd like to see more like it. And I will see you at the next one.